start with 3 o'clock. On Sunday, the Chiefs are going to host the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Burrow has got a lot going on here. Patrick Mahomes is trying to keep his winning ways up. But tell me, how do the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes keep their winning ways up, Fees?
I mean, for the Chiefs and Mahomes to keep their winning ways, they have to just keep coming with the onslaught of offense. They're going to have to score early and often. The only way that they're going to win a game against the Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to have to put up at least 36 points.
Yeah.
Now, they put up 42 last week. They're going to have to score at least 36 or better. Their defense cannot stop the Cincinnati Bengals. They played Cincinnati late in the season, and they lost. I believe it was 34-31. That may not have been a score. Like it was something very close to that. They lost a very close game to the Cincinnati Bengals in, I think, week 17. And the Bengals just, I mean, you saw it. Jamar Chase had 266 yards receiving against the Kansas City Chiefs. They cannot stop Jamar Chase. They don't have an answer for him. It doesn't matter if Honey Badger is healthy or not. They have to score. They're going to have to outscore them because they can't stop them. This will be another game just like the Buffalo Bills Kansas City Chiefs game where we see two teams light it up. I mean, if the Cincinnati Bengals defense can step up to the challenge, it could be different. But as far as what Kansas City needs to do, they got to score early, score often, score the entire game. Pat Mahomes needs to be on his A game. They got to keep scoring.
100% agree with you, brother. That is how the Chiefs will win this game because this is going to be, like you said, I mean, you said it all very well there. Another Bills-Chiefs potential showdown. Like Joe Burrow has a little bit of those Josh Allen tendencies. We've obviously seen Mahomes in one game. We're going to see him in the next game. And they just do have to keep the offense right where it's at. I mean, we know all the pieces they have. We know all the names. We know everything that Kansas City brings to the table. And maybe not having to score 36, but I think that the Bengals can come in with a potential 28 to, 31 kind of point output there. But Kansas City, 100%, yes, they do have to keep the offense in check. Another point here I will say is they do have to stand taller on defense when Cincinnati pushes back because Cincinnati's not soft. They have an offense that can hang with you. They have a quarterback and a wide receiver that are confident as ever. They've got defensive backs that were forcing turnovers in their last game. They've got a pass rush that can actually make you bend, maybe not break, but I think Mahomes will be running around a good bit of time in this game because we've seen that Cincinnati's defense, again, I've said it every single week, and if you've been watching the show, you know that I have been bragging about that Cincinnati defense and how they've been slept on. They're not getting enough respect. They're underrated. Let them come out and maybe not win the game, but stifle Patrick Mahomes, and if they win, it's going to absolutely be on. But the Chiefs have to be able to stand on their defensive side of the ball when Cincinnati pushes back, as well as on the offensive side of the ball when Cincinnati is going to be bringing that underrated defense out. Now, what needs to happen, Fees, for the Cincinnati Bengals to go to the promised land in SoFi?
The Cincinnati Bengals need to sustain a run game with Joe Mixon, somewhat protect Joe Burrow, because we've clearly seen that they actually don't have to protect him. They can win because the defense will step up and Joe will still be Joe even when they get pressure on him. Joe has got to be one of the only quarterbacks that we've ever seen where you can get that kind of pressure on him and he still has an amazing game. Most quarterbacks feel like, okay, like if you get pressure on him, you sack him like that. I mean, not even 9 times. Like if you just keep hitting him,
right,
then he'll see ghosts and it'll change the way that he looks when he's going to be worried about the pressure. Joe ain't worried about nothing. Joe got beat up, and Joe kept slinging it. And Joe, he delivered. So, I mean, I don't see anything the Kansas City defense can do to actually rattle Joe any more than what we saw out of Tennessee. I mean, Kansas City's not going to sack him 9 times. Their defense isn't that good.
Yeah.
They may get 3 or 4 sacks, but that clearly isn't going to be enough against Joe, especially since Joe has already seen them. That game was in Cincinnati, so, I mean, it's on the road. It is different. It's the playoffs. It's high stakes. it's for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But, I mean, Joe Burrow has showed us time and time again, from college into now the NFL, he's game. Mm-hmm. He's going to go into Kansas City. He's going to play like it's still like an SEC championship game or something. He's going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase. Doesn't care if he gets sacked, hit in the mouth. He's going to make the plays. So, I mean, if Cincinnati plays their game, I don't really see any way that Joe Burrow gets stopped.
Yeah, especially with how confident they are right now. Nobody can tell Cincinnati anything. They're that one team right now when it was kind of like, the Niners coming in, the Titans a few seasons back. You just didn't want to play them because you knew they're hot, they're confident, they're fast, young talent, and they're underrated on the defensive side of the ball. I'll keep saying it. I'll keep driving the point home. But, in order to speak to what needs to happen for the Bengals to make the Super Bowl, the offense obviously has to keep it where they are. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're really not doing anything wrong. Fees, I can channel to what you're saying there as well, talking about getting the run game going. But I feel like this is really going to be, like you said, another Bills-Chiefs showdown because it is two high-flying offenses. I take the Chiefs' defense over the Bengals defense over the Chiefs defense in this game because they're out here forcing turnovers. They're out here rushing the passer. They're out here making you nervous, knocking you off your game plan in order to, be able to win these football games. I think that is the major thing, though, is I'm confident in the offense coming out for Cincinnati. It's going to be, can you keep Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, Reid from getting on that, getting on that comfortability level, getting on that streak, getting on this streak of plays to where they are just methodically marching down the field. Because once Kansas City essentially slips away offensively from you, you're not going to catch them. Okay, you are more than likely not going to catch them. They're going to be scoring going away, and it's going to be a ton of yards and points, and your defense is going to feel horrible about it. So that underrated Bengals defense needs to step up, and I'm super excited to see that. Fees, though, let's ask this question. What team does this game mean more for? Burrow and his Bengals or Mahomes and his Chiefs?
Oh, it absolutely means a lot more for Mahomes than the Chiefs. Burrow and the Bengals, they're playing with house money. I mean, like the Bengals were not expected to even make the playoffs this year, and now they're in the AFC Championship game. They're legit playing with house money. If Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs lose to the Cincinnati Bengals team that no one thought would make the playoffs, let alone win the division and make it to the AFC Championship game, if they go on the road in Arrowhead and beat Kansas City, the Chiefs will now turn into a cautionary tale. It's like Pat Mahomes came in blazing. They made it to the AFC Championship game and they lost to New England, and no one gave them a knock for that because the game was tight. Went to overtime. They lost. It's like, they very easily could have won. Went to the Super Bowl the next year, and they won it. Yep. Went back to the Super Bowl the year after that, and they lost it. Now we're looking at year 4 of Pat Mahomes, and we're like, hey, is Kansas City a dynasty? What exactly are they? They've been reeling all season. They've been inconsistent. We've been questioning Pat Mahomes. Recently, he's been looking like the Pat Mahomes that we've been groomed to actually accept as the next guy. And now, if he comes out and he loses this game to the Cincinnati Bengals, that'll start bringing up questions like, hey, like is Kansas City, like have they peaked already?
Yep.
Have they done all of what they actually are capable of doing? They got 1 Super Bowl. Yep. They made it to 2. They're not good enough without any defense, without any running game to sustain the greatness. And then we start looking at contracts. We start looking at, well, are they going to be able to keep this team together? Can they keep their coaches? Will Eric Bieniemy still be there? When the pieces start leaving, will Pat Mahomes still be able to sustain that level of greatness? When he loses his offensive coordinator, when his pieces and his weapons start leaving, will he still be able to do that? Yeah. This could be the beginning of the question marks for Pat Mahomes, and it could come courtesy of Joe Burrow.
Yep. Speaking of the contracts there, Patrick Mahomes is set to make anywhere from $50 to $65 million a year. by the way it's structured. I don't think there's any year where he's making less than about 35 to 40, so they're definitely going to be wondering what is next for Mahomes after those weapons potentially, get other calls, get other offers. I think this game means more for Cincinnati, though, and I understand they're playing with house money. I know that they're not supposed to be here. They're the biggest surprise of the NFL, but let's cap off the Cinderella run. Let's go. Let's go and win the Super Bowl. Let's make it to where we have had this run to where, we haven't seen teams really burst onto the scene kind of immediately. Like nobody in the world, no matter how the draft went, what they believed in Joe Burrow's health, Zach Taylor's stability with the coaching, any part of it, really believed that the Cincinnati Bengals would be at this point in the season. And I think you're here, so why not go ahead and take it to the next step? I will say that they are good enough to beat Kansas City, but I don't think that they will. I think this absolutely means more for Joe Burrow, though. This is just going to solidify that payday that's coming down the road. Zach Taylor's job is already saved. How many more years is it going to be saved for? And you even mentioned it, Fees. If they win this could be the beginning of the question marks or the potential end, not getting to another Super Bowl for 5 years, 10 years, like you said, when we first crossed paths, man. So real quick, before we spill on to the NFC, who's going to SoFi Stadium and representing the AFC in Super Bowl 56?
Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh. Joe Cool, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. I'm taking the Cincinnati Bengals to go into Arrowhead Stadium and up in the Kansas City Chiefs. Book it.
Woo. All right, brother. All right. You really shocked me with that one, man. I am 100. For real, bro. I am 100% going to have to take the Kansas City Chiefs, and here's why. We don't see it very often. In a way, and this is why Joe Burrow seems so special to me. He's defying the odds, doing what I didn't think he could do, but it kind of feels like he's still in his rookie season because he didn't have many games under his belt before he got hurt. This is his first full year as a starter. He wins the division going in, going to the AFC title game. Like, there is so much happening here right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. But as much as I want to buy in and think that they could do it, I still feel like there's a little bit of inexperience. What is he going to do in a big moment in a game? Because some people want to say, and I can kind of agree, that Tennessee gave Cincinnati that game. They didn't necessarily come out and win it themselves. We see the numbers. We see the stats. We know everything that can support the game, but it was an interesting one. At the end of the day, I do have to take Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. There might be a moment in this game where it could be a Stafford moment for Joe Burrow, but it's acceptable because it's Joe Burrow. Not saying he's going to be viewed as bad, but he's still very early on in his career. Is Zach Taylor actually, against a powerhouse now in the AFC, Joe Burrow as well, going to be able to take this one? I don't think so. Give me Kansas City, maybe to the tune of about a 41-37, somewhere around that aspect. It's going to be a barn burner potentially